Hey, this is Greg here, and in this video we're talking about everything new with Canva. So yesterday was the big Canva Create event, and they always announce a lot of updates at that particular event. And so today we're talking about what those changes are. There's a new Canva interface. Have you figured out how to unlock it yet? How do you unlock it? What's new about it? What's new in the project interface? The Magic Grab tool has some updates. There's some video updates. There's some updates to Canva Docs. So we're going to talk about all this and more in this video. And if you find this helpful, please subscribe to my free newsletter. I will pin it in the comment below. I will put it in the description below this video because that's the best way for me to reach out for you. Anytime there's a major update like this, anything new with Canva, I can let you know immediately and get you up to speed. So let's dive in and learn all about what's new in Canva. Okay, I think the biggest thing to talk about what's new in Canva after the Canva Create updates are the changes they made to the Canva home screen and to the Canva user interface. So I'm looking at this new Canva home screen now. It's sort of a more minimalized look. And if you see these icons up here, custom size and uploads instead of the words themselves, that's a clue that yes, you are looking at this new home screen. Now I think they're probably going to roll this out to everyone. However, when they first introduced this, there was a secret knock you needed to do to unlock this new home screen. You have to knock 7 times in a secret place, and I'm going to tell you that secret place right now. So 7 times. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up to this For You icon right here. And that's it. You've unlocked the new Canva interface. It's going to play this cool little animation, and then suddenly it's unlocking everything to you. You're going to get the new Canva home screen, and you're going to get the new Canva Project Interface, which we're going to talk about now because they call this the glow up when they're redoing this Canva interface like this. And this is probably the biggest change that comes out of Canva Create is this new interface, although there's some other updates we're going to talk about as well. So let's just start with a comparison of the new versus old Canva home screen so we can understand what's new about this new screen. So here's the new screen here, and if I just jump over to another account, I have a free account where I still have it on the old version. Here's the old version of the home screen, and then here's the new version. Okay, so not drastic changes, but just in general, this new screen has been minimized a little bit. So if we look at the old screen here, this top bar is a little bit more intrusive, a little larger. We have the icons here within the bar itself. We have this top menu bar here, custom size, upload here, and then we have some of the sections here on the left in this left menu. And now if we jump over to the new screen, we see that left menu has been shrunk down. This top menu is a little smaller. These icons, which used to be in the menu itself here, are sort of popped out. They used to be sort of within this blue section up here. So not big changes, but just slight changes. Again, slight changes up here where we have some recent documents. So some slight changes in this menu. Nothing drastic, but definitely different. And this left menu is also new. Okay, because we didn't exactly have that on the old screen here. We just had this left menu here. You had to go in under the projects tab to really see your folder structure. Now on the screen here, suddenly we're seeing some starred folders and items right here. And there's one very important change, and maybe one of the best home screen changes, which I'm going to talk about in a minute from right here. But just remember over here, everything is just a little minimized. They're going with that more minimal look. You can still do all the same things. You're still launching all your templates from here. You still have a custom size option up here. It's just a little icon instead of the word itself. You can still upload files. It's just an icon instead of the word itself. Still get to all your account settings and everything up here. So again, everything just is minimized down. And temporarily here you have, if you want to see what's changed, you can click on this stuff here. Of course, we're going to talk about some of this stuff here in a minute. But let's just talk about this here because I think one of the biggest changes here comes with this menu here to the left. So if you want to see things over here, you can star items and they will show up here in this left menu. For as an example, if I come here to this copy of frames here, this particular Canva document, Canva presentation file, if I star this, we're going to see that boom, suddenly it pops up here. Okay, let me go down to this one or up to this one over here. Same thing, if I want to star this, boom, it's going to pop up here. So suddenly I have a way to maybe add projects that I'm currently working on immediately over here to the left. So what about this above here where it says current projects and it's got this little cowboy hat icon and then I can twirl it down. I don't have anything in here yet, but there is now a way to organize even farther on this home page, and this is sort of a new organizational feature they're calling sections. So you have this plus icon right here, and again, I think this is going to be a very helpful feature just in terms of organizing. Now, you know how I've preached the importance of Canva folders, and you can come under projects and add folders, and within the design interface itself, you can work with folders, add to folders. That's very important, but I think this new section here is just going to give you a new way of sort of seeing some of that organization in a better way on the home screen, and also maybe those current, immediate things, top of mind things that you're working on. This is going to be a great feature. So what it is called Create Section. So if you just hover over this plus icon here, you're going to see Create Section, and you can hit plus and you can add a new section. And what you're going to do is you can name it, and then you can also click on the icon here if you want to add an emoji. So let's say I wanted to organize sort of all my Canva custom frames, which I have in different files here. If you watch this YouTube channel, I talk about how to create custom frames. So if you want, I'll put a link above now if you want to see that video. But I have a lot of files here where I have custom frames that I've created. And so maybe I want to have a new section here called Custom Frames. And so I'll call this Custom Frames, and then give it a little icon. I'll just click here, and then this just lets you pick an emoji that you want to attach to it. So maybe this makes sense for custom frames. That's one I used before, but you can search under any of these categories. You can use symbols, you can use objects, so lots of different things. You're familiar with the emoji world, I'm sure. So just grab something if you want. You don't have to do this, but if you want to put something, boom, you can do that. And then of course, when you click out of that, it's going to commit that change. You can get back in just by going under and doing rename. And again, you can change these things now that you're in here, but boom, suddenly you have sections. So what this does is this gives you a way to now further organize anything you want to see here on this home page. So again, I have custom frames. It's got this little twirl icon. If I click it, I'm not going to see anything because I haven't put anything in this folder. But suddenly these two items I just starred, if I want to, I can drag them up into that custom frames folder, since those are custom frame files. And now if I twirl this down, I can see everything within this section. Okay. So again, I think this is a really great way to have even more organization on this home screen, where you can add your favorites, you can add things that you're currently working on, and it just immediately, when you open up Canva, you're going to be able to access them. You're going to be able to launch them right here with the home screen without having to search over under projects, without having to go in here and type search terms. You can just immediately get to those things if you organize in a smart way. So definitely take advantage of this new Create a Section feature in Canva. Now, before we move on from this feature, I think it's worth noting here that you can twirl this open, you can store things inside of here, so it's sort of like a directory structure. So it is acting a lot like a folder, but I just want to make the distinction that this is different from a folder. So let me just jump into the Canva interface real quick just to show you. If I'm within the Canva interface, you probably know you can come in under the Projects tab. So the Projects tab here, you can come in under here, you can search for things. So if I search for custom frames and I look at my folders, no, there is not a custom frames folder, even though that is on the home screen. We just created this custom frames section. So I did just want to make that distinction between folders and sections. Even though they act similar in a lot of ways, they are slightly different. Now, even though you can't search for a folder and get to it like I'm showing you here in the project interface, there is still an easy way in the project interface to get to all your sections. And I will show you that in a minute as we get into talking about the new changes in the project interface. And also just to show you that, yes, it is something that's different from a folder. You can actually grab folders themselves and drop these folders into sections. So now suddenly you can have a section that holds not just files, but also folders. So again, it just gives you another way to organize. And speaking of organization, there's some old things here that I starred that I really need to clean up. So anytime you want to get rid of something here, you can just unstar it, and it's going to remove it from a section. It's going to remove it from this menu on the home screen. So actually we'll go in right now and just do a little cleanup just to start cleaning up here the things on my home screen menu. So I didn't make you watch me do it, but I went in here and I cleaned up some of my old starred folders that I don't really need to be starred anyways. This is a good practice, and I always teach these good practices, but sometimes I'm not great about myself, about taking my own information. So I feel much better now that I've decluttered over here, especially with this new decluttered interface. And also when I do that, I reveal that below these starred folders, I had so many that I wasn't seeing. Right below that, you can see your recent designs. Again, you can toggle that open and closed. So again, just a nice, easy way on your home screen to access sort of things you're working on, things you've organized, and also your most recent projects, all right here on this left menu, so definitely a helpful update to the Canva home screen. Okay, so that's the Canva home screen and what's new, but now let's jump into that project interface and see what is new within the project interface. So I'll go ahead and click this one here to open up, and as it opens up, you may notice right away that you have this more minimalized look here, where suddenly more screen real estate is being devoted to your project itself, which is great because I think more workspace, that's always a plus. And one of the ways they've done that here is just minimizing this left menu here. And just for a comparison now, I'll show you a comparison of this new workspace versus the old workspace, just so you can really take in these changes. So this is the new interface here, but I can toggle over to the old interface. So here's the same file in the old interface. And in the old interface, by default, when it opens up, this left menu is open here. Now you can close it by toggling it closed like that, clicking on another thing, toggling it closed. But by default here now in the new Canva interface, these things are gonna sort of open when you hover over, but if you hover off, that menu is gonna go ahead and close down. Now, one of the reasons why it feels like we have a little bit less real estate now is because of this new left menu here. Now, if I go over to the old file interface here, the old Canva interface, you actually could bring up a menu like that here by using that toggle switch up there. They've just changed it in the new interface so that now you have this open by default when you first open this, but then you can exit out like this, and then suddenly you'll notice this does look a lot more minimal, where we have the left menus that are shrunk down, but if you hover over them, you can get to all the left menus. So everything the same over here, just a little bit different in the way the interface acts. Now, sometimes if you click on something, it will stay open, and then you can sort of close out of that menu by using this X here, or you can click on it again, and then it'll disappear. So again, hover over it. If you hover off, it will close usually after a second or two. So hover off, it'll close. But if you want it to sort of stay open, you can sort of click on it, and then it's going to sort of stay open, and then you'll have this button here to close it down using this, or you could click on that again, and it would sort of remove it from this open state, and then when you hover off of it, it would close again. But you can use this here. So again, just a little different, just take you a second to get used to that. But I do think it's a good idea that by default now, they have those menus minimized. Now, let me bring this menu up again real quick. So I'm going to open this menu here just to point out, does something look familiar in here? I told you that you can get to those home screen sections very easily from within here, because if you notice now, we have this temporary section up here where they're showing us what's new. You can X out of that. Once you check these out, of course, we're going to talk about that in this video, what's new. But then you're going to have your start section, recent designs. So this is exactly what you get on the home screen. So I do like that consistency that you can organize in the home screen. You can very quickly get to those items right here. Now, of course, if we close that out, you can still come in under the projects tab, navigate your folder structure this way, just like you could in the past. But it is nice to now have this immediate option just to get to all of those things that we've put in a specific section on our home screen, okay? So just get to know this new interface. And the biggest change here in terms of just the general appearance here, it's just the way they've decluttered. They're going with that minimal thing where they're now using these icons to represent the menus. You hover over, it'll open the menu, but then if you hover off, it's going to disappear. At the bottom, you may notice this is a little different too. You used to have a sort of a thumbnail twirl button here. Let me just show you what I mean, because that probably didn't make a lot of sense, but I meant this right here. You used to have this option here to switch between sort of this thumbnail view, and then if you wanted to switch back to that sort of scrolling vertical view, you would go like that. They've changed that slightly on the new interface, so jumping over to the new interface, instead of that little arrow you would use to twirl things, now you have this option right here where it says scroll view, and if you click on that, you can switch to thumbnail view. So now you're just using this little icon over here instead of having that arrow. Still have the same thing here where you can jump into grid view, close grid view, but now you have this little button for going between scroll view and going into thumbnail view. Okay, so small changes here that will take a little time to get used to, but I think these are good updates. Now, there are some other changes here, so let's talk about the other changes you're going to notice here as you start to work in this Canva interface. Okay, I've just jumped over to a new file to talk about the next big sort of interface change I think you're going to notice. And so I have a file here that has some text and some images. So let me just start by clicking on this image here. Now, when I click on this image, we can see it's highlighted. Do you see anything different? Well, a little bit different. To illustrate this, let's jump over, and I have the same project open in the old Canva editor. So let me just jump over to the old Canva editor, and with this selected now, you'll notice in this old interface, we sort of had this top contextual bar. And so anytime you click on an element here, this contextual bar would change based on what you have selected. So I have a picture. Here are my options for picture, editing, image to get into that submenu. If we click on that, we have the submenu here. If you do text, then suddenly we have text options up here, all in this top bar. Now, when I go back to the new interface now we're in a new interface. Now suddenly we notice that up here in this top menu, we have editing, and you can switch between editing, commenting, and viewing mode. By default, you're going to be in editing mode. But now suddenly we have this floating bar up here. Okay, so we actually have this floating bar. I don't think you can actually grab it and move it. I think that would be a nice feature, maybe if you could reposition this. But you're just going to have this floating bar now. And by default, I think this is probably the change that's going to throw Canva users the most as they make this switch to this new interface. All the options are basically the same, but you don't quite see everything. If you click this edit here, then suddenly you're going to bring up this left menu here. Excuse me, see, I said left menu because it used to come up on the left. Now it comes up on the right. Okay, so a little different. And again, if I close out of that, then back to this floating bar. If I use this thing here, it's going to do the same thing, what brings up this left menu. And then you can scroll down and you have, I keep saying left menu. See, it's even taking me a little while to adjust that this is now on the right. Now it does make some sense, I think, maybe to have it on the right of your design. I don't know that it's a big deal one way or the other, but it is going to take a little bit of an adjustment just to realize that now we have the options over here in this right menu, and to access that, you have to use this floating bar here. Now, in the big picture, I think this is probably a good change because what they're attempting to do is sort of bring this a little closer. You don't have to go up quite as far to get to this. It's going to pop up as a floating bar anytime you click on anything here. And so I do think it makes sense to have it right above the design here. But just remembering that you have to use sort of this bar here, this floating bar, to bring up these submenus. You no longer have it all right up in this top position up here like we did in the old interface. So for me, this isn't a huge change. I don't know that they've made a drastic improvement with this. And because it's new, it is going to sort of be a little bit of a hiccup at first, I think, when people start to use it. And this is where I mentioned, like, you can use your settings menu to revert to that old version if you're working on a project and just for the next week or so, you're like, hey, I just want to be in a space I know, the space I'm familiar with. You can do that. But then I think eventually, yes, go ahead and migrate to this new thing here. I don't think this change is going to be that big of a deal. I do think it is going to be a slight improvement, and I do think it's just going to take a little time to adjust to the fact that now you get this floating bar here at the top instead of having it a little higher on the screen. And then when you go to click on the edit menu here, or click on this double arrow here, then you're going to bring up a right menu. So things that used to pop up over here on the left in the left menu, now they're over here on the right in the right menu. But all the same options, you can still get to everything here, just organized slightly differently. Okay, so in other words, transparency, you got to come down here to get to transparency. So you have the option here, but also just right here, if I click on this, I'm going to have the transparency option right up here. So again, just things organized slightly different. Most of it is pretty similar, close to the same, but you have a floating bar now. It opens a menu on the right instead of a menu on the left. So slightly different is going to be this way. We have this way to access all the contextual options when you select an item on screen, okay? So just take a little while to get used to that, and you're going to do just fine. One last thing I'll say about this new contextual menu, and just in general, the menus and the positioning of items here in the Canva interface, and you can give me your comments below if you have your thoughts, but this is sort of my constructive critique and suggestion to Canva, is it would be nice if I could come in here and say in this menu, if I could turn certain things off. Or if you made this sort of a floating bar that you could detach, maybe you could put it on the left side of the screen. So just the fact that inside of this menu here, there's certain elements that I very rarely, if ever, use, and I'd like to be able to hide those items and just make it so it's a little easier to get to items. If I come down here to apps and I sort of have to scroll to get over to things, if there's something I want to use, maybe it would be nice to be able to hide some things on the left that I don't use. Same thing here. If I come up here, it would be nice to occasionally be able to hide some things, to be able to show other things. So I know other programs let you save certain workspaces once you set up menus the way you like, move things around. So maybe that's something Canva could improve in the future. But again, not that big of a deal. I'm not super upset about these changes. I'm not dying to have the ability to customize this. It would be nice, sure, but again, not that big of a deal. Now, thus far, we've been talking about changes to the Canva interface. Let's move on now and talk about some new features and some feature updates. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Magic Grab tool. Now, the Magic Grab tool is not new to Canva, but there are some improvements, so let's talk about them now. Now, remember, this tool is a pro Canva tool, so something to keep in mind if you're a free Canva user. If you decide to upgrade, this is one of those free tool. This is one of those AI tools. This is one of those pro tools you will get access to. So I have a couple slides open here with some different pictures just to work through examples. So let's start with this picture here. Now you're going to select the photo, and then to get to that Magic Grab tool, you can either use this double arrow or the edit button up here, and it's going to open up this menu here. And if you remember, if you've watched tutorials on this before, you know that under the Magic Studio, we have this Magic Grab option. So I'm going to click on this Magic Grab option, and when I did, you sort of saw a flash of blue across these different subjects. And if I hover over my screen now, you can see that the Canva AI has gone in here and analyzed this photo, and it has decided these are the different subjects within the photo. So anything that's a subject, according to Canva here, when I hover over it, I'm going to sort of get this highlight, this sort of purple-blue highlight. So it lets me know that's something I can select. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to select this gentleman here on the end and grab him. You click on one of these, and then you have this grab option highlighted. So then you can click on grab, and then if you remember how this tool works, it's sort of a combination of the Magic Edit tool, where you can go in and you can put something new in an area, and it's a combination of the background remover. Because what it does is it removes the background from the subject itself. The subject gets placed on a new layer, but then all those pixels where he existed on the background, it tries to fill them in. So for example, if I move him right now, I can see it tried to fill in the background. It sort of put a chair here. It didn't do the best job, but I do have this subject now isolated from the background, so I can move him around. I could just get rid of him. I can do whatever I want. So this is how this tool works. Now, you do have a new option here, and that is the ability to also come in here, instead of click, choose brush. So let's try it with a new subject here. I'm going to come in once again. I'll get over to this menu. I'll choose Magic Grab. We sort of see it sort of flash, and it selected this as a subject, this here, this, but invariably sometimes it's going to miss things that you might want to get rid of. Let's say, for example, I found this sort of lamp here, distracting, and I just wanted to remove it from my photo or reposition it or something here. It did not get selected automatically, so I can't just click on it, but I do have this brush option now. And with this brush option, I can come in and I can come in here and draw on screen and tell it exactly what I want to select as my subject. So let me just come around this area that represents the lamp. And again, I'm doing this with the Magic Grab tool. I do understand that this is something where you could use the Magic Edit tool or the Magic Erase tool if you just wanted to get rid of it. But if it's something where you want to keep the lamp and then also try to fill in the background pixels, that's where you would come in and use this Magic Grab tool. So again, once you've drawn something on screen, you can go ahead and click the grab button here. It's going to do its thing where it's analyzing the photo. It's going to put this on its own layer, but then it's also going to attempt to fill in those pixels where the lamp was on this photo, so that we have both the background isolated and now the subject itself that we've selected isolated. So let's give it a moment to twirl away here, and let's see what kind of job it does. So there we go. It's selected this lamp here, and if I move it around, it's done a pretty good job here. I don't think you would notice. Now it missed a spot here, so I could come in again and try to get rid of this area up here. But again, it's done a good job. So if I wanted to reposition this here and have it on the edge of there or something, I could reposition that. And if I wanted to then come in here and try to clean this up, this is where I pointed out that you can use something like the Magic Grab if you want to preserve the subject. But if you just want to get rid of it, that's when you could come in here and use the Magic Erase tool. So let's see, I may have combined the Magic Erase down there. It is right there, Magic Eraser. So actually I'm on the wrong layer here. So let's come in and select this photo again. Let's go back here. We'll select Magic Erase. we'll come in here, and this is the area that I actually want to get rid of. So I'll just do that. I'll click erase. And again, it's trying to fill in these background pixels. So again, this is another Pro tool. So you get a lot of these tools like this when you sign up for the Canva Pro plan. So now it's going to come in here and it's going to try to fill that in. And again, this is not new. I just could not leave this little bit remaining here. It was bothering me. So we're going to go ahead and see it remove, see if it can remove this. Now, sometimes it takes a little longer to churn based on how complicated an area it is, but then boom, it's done a good job here. And so now I can go and close this out. And then if I come back here, we can look at our position menu and we can see that, yes, we have this lamp isolated on a new layer. It's filled in all this pixels on this background layer. So just like that with this new tool, we're able to make those changes. Now let me just show you one more example that we could use this Magic Grab tool for. So let me come in here again and let me go once again, select this photo. Once again, I'll come in here to the Magic Grab option. Click on Magic Grab and we see all it really does is select all of this as one subject. This is, again, where clicking isn't going to work because what I'm trying to do here is I want to isolate this bee from the flower itself. I want to isolate this bee from the flower itself. So I'm going to... I would like to try to isolate this bee from the flower itself. So I'm going to choose this brush option and come up here. And one of my pet peeves is still that there's no keyboard shortcut for just changing my brush size that I can see. So you sort of have to come over here, and a lot of times I'll make it smaller just to get the tough edge parts. So if I want to make it a little smaller, what I'm getting, sort of this part here, a little smaller for this part. And then once I get to the point where I've sort of gotten those edges and I can use a larger brush size, then I'll come back and do the larger brush size. So we'll just select this B here. Again, not trying to do perfect job here, but just trying to see if we can do a reasonable job of selecting that B. Again, once you've defined the area that you want to define, then you can come in here and let's get that last little bit here. And we can come in here and click this grab option here. Again, it's going to analyze this scene. The more complicated it is, the harder it's going to work. It might take a little longer. And again, it's not always going to do a perfect job, but we can see it does a pretty reasonable job there. So now we have this bee isolated, and of course it did a pretty good job of filling in the flower here in the background. So this is one of those things where I'm already noticing that this sort of grab, replace, magic eraser, magic edit is improving as time goes on. It's definitely performing better than it was when these features first came out. And another thing you can do, so now that I have this guy here, I can copy him, I can take him over to a different page, I can paste him right on here. So maybe we're trying to make it look like he's over this flower. You know what, I could even duplicate him. And then if I have a copy, let's see, I think with that copy, I think I made a copy, but there we go. It takes a second for the copy to show up. Let's make him smaller. And then what I'm going to do here with this new version here, let's flip it horizontally. But then what I also want to do is let's take this Magic Grab and let's move the flower to the foreground for a second. And let's come in here, and what we're going to do is once again, we're going to use that Magic Grab tool just to show you if I wanted to put the bee, one of the bees behind this flower, I could also use Magic Grab on this photo here just to bring this flower up to a different layer than the background itself. That way I could sort of put the bee behind it. I can't do it right now because it's just a flat photo, but this would be another use of the Magic Grab tool. So come in here, click on Magic Grab. Of course, it's probably going to find the flower all by itself, at least enough of the flower that I could hide the bee behind it. It didn't get this part, but I can probably put the bee up here. So I could use the brush tool if I wanted to grab this as well, but if I think this is good enough, then I could go just up here and choose this click option and do the one click. So just click on this, click grab. Again, it's nice to have these different choices now. If it misses something you want to select, you can use this brush option, but if it gets enough of what you want to select, you can just use that click option. And so what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to move this part of the flower to in front of the bee. And so now with this selected here, I want to go to the position menu. So the one thing I don't love about this interface change where you have the floating bar is I used to always see position right up here, but now since it's sort of moved when this is open, so in other words, if this is closed, yes, I see position right here. But if this is twirled open, position is over here, but I sort of have to go down to it. So just one of these little interface changes for you to get used to. But now I can see, okay, there's the flower. Let's drop them down behind or actually let's bring one of these B's up. Let's bring both of these B's up. One's going to be in front. So this B here is in the front and this B here is going to be behind, and we can reposition them here. And of course, we could put them up here even too. Actually, let's rotate them a little bit. So let's bring them up here. Let's rotate them. And of course, since we have a shallow depth of field in this photo, this is more in focus here, but he's farther away, so he would be more blurred. So this is where I could again click on him. Let's close out of this menu. And again, it's just some of these menus, I feel like it takes a little bit longer to get to things here. So this interface change, I'm sort of on the fence a little bit about how much of an improvement it actually was. Let's blur him slightly just so he looks a little bit more out of focus. And then we'll just jump back over here. And again, this interface change I think just takes a little while to get used to. But there we go. So now we've taken the two B's from this one photo here, and we've moved them over into this photo. So a lot of cool things you can do here in Canva, and these are improvements that they've made to the Magic Grab tool. Let's move on now and let's talk about commenting in Canva, because again, not a new feature, but they have made some feature updates with commenting in Canva. And I know for anybody that collaborates in Canva, for anybody that works in a team in Canva, this is going to be super helpful. Now, I should point out that even if you don't specifically have the Canva Teams plan, you can still come up here and share any document just by putting in the email of the Canva user, their Canva email, and then boom, suddenly you can share something. So it's very easy to collaborate and share things in Canva, and that's when this commenting can come into play. And also, of course, if you work on bigger teams, then this is going to be super helpful. So here I am in the new version of Canva here, the new interface, and I don't immediately see the ability to comment, although there is an option up here. So if you click on this, suddenly you can add a comment, and you're adding it to the current page. And then of course you have these different categories where you can filter comments by all, for you, unread, resolved. So you have some different categories and ways to sort of filter your comments. But then if I don't use this up here, I can also just click on the page, and then suddenly there's ability to comment on the page. I can also now click on individual elements. So if I wanted to say something about this bee, I could do something like this and add a comment like, hey, this bee is cool. And then maybe I'm going to add something to the page itself. And so I could come up here and on the page itself add a comment and say, yes, really awesome job, Greg. And now, of course, this is a little weird because I've shared this with my other free personal account. So yes, I just made a compliment to myself, but just doing this all for example now. So let me just jump over to the account where I've shared this. And so we will see now that in this old version of Canva, I am going to see the comment that was on the page. But then if I click on this individual B element, I'm not seeing the comment I left on this. And that's because this is a new feature in the new editor. In the old editor, you could not make these individual comments on individual elements. So that's a nice new feature in the new editor. Of course, in this old editor, I could still come over here and I could type in a comment. So maybe I'll type in something like, yes, cool edit. Weird that you are talking to yourself though. Okay, so you can add comments like this. So I'll go ahead and add a reply. And of course, you can tag people in here as well. So if you mention someone here, I can select whoever I want that's in the that's in the shared group here that's working on this document. I can add a reply. And then over in the new Canva, we're going to see an interface like this. So let me close out of things. By default, you're going to see this little icon. If there are comments here, you can come in here, you can click to expand these. You can come in here, you can use the three dots. You can delete comments, you can copy the link, you can add a reaction. So I could come up here and reply with an emoji. You can add stickers. So all sorts of different things. I think the best thing for you to do is really come in here and play around, and just know that now you can add comments to not just the page itself, but also to individual elements. So you can click on individual elements, use the comment option to add a comment, and then as you're adding comments in here, you can do things like add stickers, you can tag people, you can do all these things. And then remember up here, you have the ability to filter what you're seeing in terms of comments. So let me just close out of that for a second. Now if I come under here, we can use this drop down right here, and you can filter the comments. So just ones for you, just ones that are red. You can see resolved comments. And so to resolve a comment, if you have a comment open, you have this little check option to resolve it. So I could resolve it, and now suddenly if I close it, I'm not going to see that little comment option anymore. But if I want to go back and see what comments may have existed and have been resolved, then I can come back up here. Instead of current page, I can go to resolved, and I'm going to see those old comments. So lots of different options here with commenting that I think are going to be very helpful for anybody collaborating. So make sure you play around with the new commenting improvements here in Canva. Let me talk about one more sort of edit image feature that Canva added, and I'm going to be honest with you, I hate this tool as it is right now. And that's simply because I don't think it's explained well, and I don't think it works well, but I'm going to show it to you because I want you to understand it. I want you to know that it's there, and I don't want you to get overly excited about this. Now, hopefully it's something like the background remover tool, and I talked about how when you use the magic erase or the magic grab tool, those over time seem like they're working better and better. So with all AI, I think there is sort of this growth curve where the features are going to improve rapidly over time. So hopefully that's the case with this, but I'm not sure at this point it's something that's been rolled out, unless I'm using it wrong and you can explain it to me how to get good results from this tool. But at this point, I don't think this is a good option. But let me show you what I'm talking about. So right now I have a picture of a dog on the screen, and I have a picture of a field here. Now, if I just have this dog selected and then I use the arrows here, I get these options over here. I can see my different options here for Magic Studio. But if I suddenly select a dog and then shift click to also select this field in the background, now suddenly I have this blend option. You can see the new icon. This is a new Canva Pro feature. And so if I click on this blend, suddenly we get this little tutorial example, and it says place one image on top of another, in size and position. Place one image on top of the other in the size and position you want them merged. So it's going to attempt to merge these two images together using AI. Now, first, when I saw blend, I got excited because if you know me and you've watched any of my tutorials on Photopea or Photoshop, you know that they have the ability to blend layers. They have a lot of really cool options that I would love to see Canva get, but at this point, Canva is not great at that sort of thing. But so let's give this a try. So I'm going to go ahead and place this dog a little lower on the screen here. So let me just click off of them for a second. Let's drag them down again, make sure both photos are selected here, and then I'm going to go ahead and choose blend image. And so it's going to take a little while here. It's using AI technology. It's going to give us 4 options, just the way like when you use text to image and it generates images, you're getting 4 options. Because essentially what it's going to do is sometimes it's going to change what your thing is completely. So it got rid of the dog that was there, and it uses AI to generate a new dog. Now it's made the dog fairly similar, and what it's attempted to do is sort of match the color tones, but to me it's just a little overdone and not great at all. So what it's attempting to do is it's attempting to match the color tones, it's attempting to match those two scenes together. But personally, I think this is way overdone. And if you don't like this result, you can just hit cancel. I think a better option would have been to use the background remover, maybe use the adjust menu to adjust him slightly if you really wanted to put these two scenes together, because the result it gave us wasn't great. Now, also of note here, if you look at this option carefully up here, it's showing a straight on coffee mug, but when it drops it onto this table, which is obviously on a different perspective plane, we can see that suddenly when they release, we can see the top of the coffee mug. Okay, so maybe I'm using this wrong. So let's go to a scene like this where suddenly this can is shot straight on. Here, this book is obviously on a different plane. Obviously, this is angled downwards and sideways. This is a little different. So what if I just bring this sort of soda can over here? I may have said coffee can, but the soda can over here, I select this. I'm going to shift click to select the image below. I'm going to blend these images, and maybe magically now I'm going to see the top of this soda can, just like in the example they show, we saw the top of the coffee mug. So this would be really cool if suddenly it could use AI to recreate a soda can, but understand that it's at a different perspective. So let's just watch and see what kind of results come back. And okay, I can see that it's attempted to color match and tone the soda can, but if I click through these different ones, it's not done very well. And once again, it didn't adjust the perspective at all. Okay, so my point in showing you this blend image option is just that I don't think it's very good yet. When they showed this example here, boom, this magically changes. You can magically see the top of the cup. Everything looks great. Watch the way with this one too. Also, you get a perfect shadow. Well, I'm not seeing these kind of results just in trying out this blend feature. So again, you select two images, you place one over top of the other where you want those photos merged together. It's going to use the AI technology to try to merge them together. Think about things like perspective, color tone, things like that. I just don't think it's very good yet. I think you're going to spend a lot of time using it and not getting results you can actually use, okay? So don't get too excited about this feature. Hopefully it's a sign that sometime in the future, this is going to be a more usable tool. But for right now, I would just sort of put this on the back burner, know that it's there, but they probably need to make some improvements before you're going to get results you're happy with this new blend option. The next thing I want to mention are two features that Canva has added under the video options, the video editing options. And the first has to do actually with audio. So the ability to enhance audio. So what I did for this was I ran a test, and in here in Canva under the Uploads tab, you may know that you can record yourself, so you can use a webcam or whatever cam you have, camera and microphone you have hooked up your computer. So I just used a webcam that does not have great audio quality. I also piped in some extra noise, wind and background noise from my phone. So I'm going to play you that clip now, and then we're going to see what we can do to enhance this with this new enhanced audio feature in Canva. So Canva has a new video feature that lets you enhance audio quality. So what I'm doing now is I'm sort of recording a clip on a bad microphone, also adding in some noise by holding my phone up to the microphone with some wind sound. And then we're going to see how we can use this new enhanced audio feature to improve the audio quality of this clip. Okay, so to access this new feature with any video clip selected on screen here, you're going to have the contextual bar up here, and you're going to come under this audio option, and then you're going to have enhanced voice. And yes, you see the crown icon. So this is a pro feature. Sorry, free Canva users, but this is a pro Canva features. So all you have to do is turn that on. And then when you turn that on, you're going to go ahead and see a progress bar. Now I already ran this on this. I think that's why we're not seeing it. I think it's just automatically applied it. But actually, let me hit Control Z, or actually let me come back up here real quick and let me go under audio. Let's turn this off because, like I said, let me duplicate it. So I'm going to actually duplicate this whole video. So duplicate just so we have this one here. And with this new one, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to turn this on. But like I said, when you run this for the first time, you're going to get that progress bar and you're going to see it progressing as it analyzes and attempts to improve the audio quality of this clip. Now let's play these two clips and see what the result is. So first we'll play this clip on the left where we have the audio enhance turned off. So this is a normal clip. So Canva has a new video feature that lets you enhance audio quality. So what I'm doing now is And now let's play a portion of the new clip here, and this is the one where we do have enhanced audio turned on. So Canva has a new video feature that lets you enhance audio quality. So what I'm doing now is So it's not the same as my professional microphone here. So it's not a solution for people that just want to use a webcam and think that's going to take their audio quality to the next level. However, it did significantly improve the clip, removing a lot of that background noise. So I think this is a cool new feature, and I think this is something that's going to be helpful. Not everyone's always going to have that, microphone in front of them. Sometimes you're just recording a clip on your phone. Sometimes you're outside, you get that wind noise. So this is going to be helpful, I think, in terms of taking some clips, taking some audio, and making it more usable. But it's not a solution for someone who wants to go to professional audio level, okay? So just know how this is useful and make use of this new feature when appropriate. Let's talk about just a few more video updates. So I have a video clip in here. This is just a 5-minute clip. It's actually a YouTube video I did when Canva acquired Affinity. And so this is just sort of like a 5-minute video I've brought in here into Canva. I have it selected on screen. And now if I come up here under the scissor icon and I use this trim, or I could actually use this over here to see all, and we have this new highlight options over here. So with this new highlight options, what it's going to do is it's going to analyze your video, and I think you can do up to a 10-minute long clip, and it's going to try to find what it thinks are the most sort of important moments of your video. So it's using that AI technology to analyze your clip and find what it thinks is the most important moment. So let's go ahead and run this and see what kind of results we get. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button here, and it's going to bring up this window here. And it's going to say hang tight as we organize and label the best moments in your video. So depending on the length of your clip, it's going to take a little while here just to go through and try to find those best moments. And as mentioned, this is about a 5-minute video. and it says you can do up to 10-minute long videos. And so it's returned some results over here to the right, and we can see it gives it a name. You can see the amount of time that the clip is. So we have one that's 5.9 seconds. And the way this works is if you roll over your mouse over the clip here in the right menu, it's going to start to play that clip. So let's look at a few of these. I'll start with just the first one here. Greg, and it was just announced that Canva has acquired the graphic design and photo editing software company Affinity. So Canva acquired Affinity is what it calls that clip, and that makes sense. Now, how useful is that clip just by itself? I'm not sure. But let's go down and find, let's try this ease of use of it in Canva. It was really the ease of use of Canva that really kept me going back for certain tasks. And so then I started using Photoshop and lots of the Adobe tools in concert with Canva and for different purposes. So you can see it really is picking out that speech recognition. It's picking out that and using that to name the clips here. But how useful all these are these clips, I don't know. Let's try one more. Let's look at the benefits of Affinity down here. Benefits for Affinity. Too, because I heard a lot of people from Affinity after this acquisition say, hey, they're excited because suddenly now there's a lot bigger budget behind them. And so some of the changes they're hoping to make, some of the improvements they're hoping to make within that Affinity software, they think that can happen a lot. Okay, so you can roll over these different clips. You can hear what the clip is. And if it is a clip that you like, you can select it. And you can select multiple ones here, and you can add them to your design, and then suddenly it's bringing those over into your design. And so now we have those new clips in your design here. And I think what it did is it went ahead and replaced what I had before. So that 10.3 second clip is now on this page, and on this page we have that 12.1 second clip. So it's going to take those different clips and instantly apply them to the page. Which is nice, but I've lost that original video, so just keep in mind that original video that I had on the page, that is no longer there. That's been replaced by the selected clips. So what this new feature does is it lets you chop up a video automatically, pull out pieces you like, and immediately add them to the design. Now, if I wanted to go back and grab this video clip again, I could grab this clip again, and I could do the exact same thing where I ran this highlights tool again, and if I run this again, it might give me slightly different results. So how useful is this? Well, it's not like some of the other tools on the market, like I'm thinking of things like Opus Clip, where you can upload media, it'll add captions, it'll resize it to different formats. So in other words, you might have a widescreen video, it'll resize it so it will fit better on a phone. It's not like that. So it's not something that's going to allow you to instantly repurpose your content for other platforms. However, you could do that to a degree. I could see if you had a video clip like this, like a YouTube video or something, and you brought it in here, and you wanted to chop up and pull out segments for like an Instagram story, and you wanted something to do it quickly, you weren't thinking about it too much. Yes, you could do that. Now you have to experiment around here to see what kind of job it does. You definitely want to preview these clips before you put them out, because it's not going to be 100% accurate. It's not always going to be the part of the clip that you want. So you do have to fool around with it a little bit, but definitely interesting, and just another way of how AI is coming into the workflow, because now you have AI going into your videos, deciding what's interesting, giving those things a name, assessing what they are, and then making those subclips available to you where you can very quickly have a new video or a new portion of the video. So it is interesting. I don't know if it's something I'm going to use a lot right off the bat, but for some of you, if this has uses, take advantage of this new highlights feature, which again, that's a new pro feature here, which you can use with any video clip up to 10 minutes in Canva. Okay, let's move over into a Canva doc and talk about a few things and improvements we're seeing inside of Canva docs. So I just copied and pasted some text from one of my YouTube transcripts, and so this came in here as a mess. So everything is formatted very big, like a heading. It's all in its own little block here. So how would I go about cleaning this up? Because this might be a problem you face if you're copying and pasting something over here into a Canva doc where it's a mess when it first comes in. Well, let's look at how we can use AI and some of these tools to really clean this up. So first of all, I could hit Control A to start to select everything. That's Control A on Windows. That would be Command A on a Mac. And when you first do that, it may select just one of the blocks here, but then if you hit Control A again, it will then select all of the blocks on the page. And once you do that, you can do use these arrows here. And something new that you have now inside of Canva, and you can do this not just in a doc, but in other parts of Canva as well, is once you do this and you come over and you find this text styles, then suddenly in here you can get to all the predefined sort of subheadings, subtitles, body, quotes, things that you've defined in your Canva brand kit. So you have all these different things you can define. So now very quickly, if I wanted to change everything I had selected to body text, I could do that. I could make it formatted this way. I could do this style. So I could choose any one of these styles and very quickly apply it to a block or multiple blocks of text. Now, of course, that's not going to totally fix my problem in here because things came in with not even the right line spacing. We just have all these line breaks. So how would I solve this problem? Well, once again, I'll hit Control A twice just to select everything. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to take advantage of Magic Write. So I'm going to click on Magic Write, and now we have all these different prompts that we're getting inside of Canva. So when we select a block of writing, we can define a voice in our brand kit. And if we do that, we can have it use our own brand voice. We can make it more formal, more fun. We can just ask it to look for grammar mistakes, fix spelling. We can ask it to improve and see what it does. Now, of course, all these changes are suggestions. We don't have to keep the changes it gives us, but sometimes we might want to. So that's why we're trying out these different things. But what I want to talk about now is these custom prompt, because I think this is probably the most helpful, at least for me, because now I can come in and tell it what I want to do with this. So for example, it came in as this bad format, but I'm going to say something like, could you format this for me? And the other thing I want to point out here is you see I have 1,478 words out of 1,500. So right now this is limited to 1,500 words. And so I think it'll be more useful if they sort of expand that limit in the future. I know with other tools like ChatGPT, there may be limits, but it's much bigger. So it is more useful in other AI software at this point. But for documents 1,500 words or less, this is going to be helpful because you can come in here, you can do something like, can you format this for me? I'm going to hit generate. It's going to go ahead, it's going to go through here. It's going to use its AI brain to look at this, figure out what it thinks should be headings, what should be body text. And so it's building this out for me. And so it's coming in and I can take a look at it. And if I like what it's done here, I can go ahead and say, yes, insert. And so for me, this is much improved from what it was before, because now suddenly where I just had those broken lines, now it's put it together in paragraphs that make sense. I can of course come in here and still do things like very quickly come in and select certain blocks, and for certain blocks of text, if I want to come in here and change the styling, the formatting, I can still use those tricks we learned before to come in here and make changes to things like that. But it just allowed me to take something that was totally unformatted and very quickly use that prompt, asking it to format it for me and bring it into a more useful form where I can start to build out a document that's just not going to be total cluttered. I don't have to rewrite everything. Even though I copied and pasted it, it was a mess. I was able to clean it up fairly quickly. So that is a helpful feature. Now there are some other features here inside of docs that are new. So if I hit enter here and then I wanted to do a page break here, now I could come in here and hit this plus icon, and if I start to search for a page break, suddenly you can see this is new. We have this page break feature now. I can go ahead and boom, and I can add a page break. So it's nice to be able to now finally be able to take your custom Canva documents and add page breaks like this. That's just going to make them more organized, more useful, I think, because you don't want everything to be this one long page. At least I don't. It's nice to be able to add page breaks when you want page breaks in here. Now, also here inside Docs, it's worth mentioning that I've seen some people be able to come in and search for columns under here and now be able to add columns to their layout, so you're no longer stuck with this one long column. You can divide it into 2 columns, 3 columns. I do not have that feature yet, so I suspect there are some things with these updates that are being rolled out yet. Just know that the ability to add columns to your layout here in Docs is coming, and some of these features, if you don't have them yet, just have a little patience and they should get rolled out, hopefully any day soon. Now, one of the other doc updates which I am seeing is the ability to go into suggesting mode. So you have this drop down now on a lot of screens where you have these different modes. So I'm in editing mode now, but I could go into suggesting, and this is the new one, or commenting or viewing. And I didn't mention before when I was in that commenting one that sometimes it's helpful if you want to jump over into commenting only mode or something like that, because then now you're not going to be able to come in here and make changes. So you can come in here, you can make comments, you can make things, but you're not actually going to accidentally make a change if you really want to be only in commenting mode. In the same idea, you can go go into suggesting only mode now. So now the way this works, let's just say I had this quote at the bottom of the page here, maybe it was this right here, and I wanted to come in here and suggest something new. So I could come in here now and type, how about a new quote, or you can actually type the quote itself. But because I'm in suggesting mode now it's going to show the old quote. I haven't actually finalized this change. I haven't gotten rid of the old quote. It's still there. I haven't enacted this new content fully. It has to be reviewed. So when you make a suggestion like this, other people on your team that you've shared the document with are going to see up here the suggestion, and they can choose to get rid of it or accept it. So if I didn't like this, I might reject it, and it's going to restore this old version. If I accept it, it'll put a new version. So again, a very helpful feature to be in this suggestion mode, but something to be aware of here is what mode you're in here. So you can switch back to editing mode when you're ready, and there you go. Another nice feature here in Docs, the ability to make suggestions like this. This is going to be a very helpful feature for anybody collaborating on projects with others. Okay, so I think that about brings me to the end of this video. I think I've covered most of the updates and things you're going to notice right away and want to know about. But if you want to watch the full keynote from yesterday, you can go to canva.com what's new. You can still watch the keynote, and then you can scroll down the page here and see a lot of the stuff that they're saying is new to Canva. Now, a lot of this I've mentioned before, but you can go under these different tabs here. So under the marketing tab here, they talk about all the different tools in the AI suite. Of course, some of these have been here for a little while. They're not exactly new, but as I mentioned, there is an update to this magic grab thing. The glow up, we talked about that. That's how we have this new editor now. We have this new interface. So a lot of these things I've reviewed. Of course, more apps than ever. We're going to continue to have new apps that integrate with Canva. And some of them work better than others. Like I said, that new blend one, which is a native Canva app or a native Canva tool, I don't love that as of yet. But then you can go under these different tabs here. They're doing other things like for sales. They're starting to integrate more and more Canva templates with things like marketing. So if you do Facebook marketing, Amazon marketing, things like that, they have more and more things. We're going to have ready-made assets. They have what they call new work kits. In other words, customized templates that really just help it easy to do some of your business tasks. So they really are starting to think about all the end users of Canva and just how to make their life easier. By that same token, now they have the HR, so they're coming up with more and more templates for anybody that works in HR, just ways to integrate and save a lot of time using Canva, integrating that into your HR workflow. So very cool that they're bringing all these things to Canva. And again, you can look under all this if you want to see. Just come to canva.com what's new. And a lot of this I covered, but there may be a few things in here I missed mentioning, so you can check it out. And the other thing I'm going to end with mentioning today is the CEO of Affinity was also on stage talking about being part of the Canva umbrella right now. And they definitely hinted at the fact that more and more integrations are going to come between Canva and Affinity. Now, I saw someone post in a group recently, a Facebook group, and say, hey, do I have access to Affinity now? Well, no, not exactly. They are still different software programs. Even though Canva owns Affinity, they are separate subscriptions. So you're paying one thing to access Canva, you're paying another thing to access Affinity. Affinity has those higher level design tools, programs like Designer, Photo, Publisher. So these are the Affinity products that are akin to Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, for desktop publishing, for advanced photo editing, for creating illustrations and graphics. So that is sort of the next level if you're a Canva user and you want to get even farther into design. There is going to be this other suite of tools. And I think what you're going to start to see is they're going to make it easier and easier for anybody that's working in those Affinity products to integrate those products and bring them over into Canva where they're using them as part of their marketing assets. But if you're a regular Canva user, you're not going to see an immediate change in terms of, oh, suddenly I have this whole new suite of tools. Now, hopefully we'll get a little bit of that in the future. But like I said, this integration is going to roll out slowly. And a lot of times it's going to be those Affinity products. How do you get the end products of what they create and use those very easily in Canva? It's not necessarily that you're going to pay one subscription and get access to both things. However, the Affinity CEO mentioned that they really do care about keeping things affordable. And like Canva, they are now going to allow anybody to get on the wait list for free access If you're part of a nonprofit, if you're an educator, you're going to be able to get free access to the Affinity suite of products, just like you can get free access to the Canva suite of products. So again, I love that they're empowering people to design, and I really think this sort of union between Affinity and Canva is going to be a good thing. But don't expect to immediately have access to this other suite of software just because you have a Canva subscription. No, it doesn't work that way. They're still separate products, but we're going to start to see more integration, and it gives you the next level to go to as a designer. If you're just new to design and you're learning Canva, you get really good at it. That's the part you love about it. You're using more than just your own marketing. You want to start to do marketing for other people, create some more advanced graphics, some more advanced desktop publishing assets, things like that. Then suddenly you do have this other suite of tools that's going to be a nice transition, I think, if you're a Canva user. Now, I still love the Adobe products. I'll always love the Adobe products, but I think as a Canva user, there's going to be more incentive now maybe to go to that Affinity route, because they are going to make it integrate nicely with Canva in terms of moving assets back and forth between the different programs. All right, so thanks for watching so much. If you found this helpful, please give a like, please subscribe below. And again, I'll put a link to my email newsletter as a pinned comment down below, because all the time when there's ever anything new about Canva, anything helpful I can share, I share that with everybody who subscribes to my free newsletter. So please get on that list, and I would love to share information about Canva with you. Thanks for watching this. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoy all these new features inside of Canva.